Hi, this is Suzanne in Ohio. I have another journal to show you today. This is a very large tome style journal, even larger than the last one I showed, in case you saw that other video. I did show the initial video of the first journal, and it was called Summer Whimsy. And I said I would do a follow-up video to show more detail, but it sold so quickly I didn't have an opportunity to do that. But here's the second one in this series, and this one is called Romancing the Bees. And there's a story behind that. I made homemade twine. I did 3 ropes of it, and let's see if I can get it undone here. I made them extra large, extra long, because after you fill this journal up with ephemera, it's going to be very, very chunky, almost wide open. So let's see if I can attempt to show you this journal here, even though my camera angle is not quite right. So to start with, I'm going to assume that you did not see the other journals. So because this one is similar, I still am going to explain all the details about it. It's a total fabric cover. This is raw edge applique with free motion stitching and then hand embroidery. And the green and the gold that you see is my hand-dyed polymer lace. Of course, a little crocheted, a rescued thing from some what do I want to say? Textiles. Okay, and the design goes around the spine, and this journal is quite thick. It's 3 inches on the spine. And then when you turn it over here, there's hexagons, and it's mounted on a double thickness of fabric, and that forms a pocket, a very deep pocket, all the way back to the edge of the binder. Okay, so this just gives you some idea how much is in here, but I want to show it to you in detail if we can get this in the frame. So when you open it up, the cover and the outside cover and the inside cover form 2 pockets. Here's the first pocket, and then this is another pocket. And the first piece of ephemera that I put in here is a little handmade booklet called Telling the Bees. It's another word for romancing the bees, but there was a European tradition that came to the United States about telling the bees, and there's an explanation for that in this book. So a vintage image of a woman with her straw-made bee scalp, and when you open it up, it forms a little pocket, and there's 2 pieces of ephemera in here, including this little film strip kind of thing with vintage images on it. And then it opens even further, and this is a tuck spot, and then this is a tuck spot. And this little flap keeps that closed. Then you open the actual booklet, and here's the story about telling the bees. I put it in a little booklet form. Vintage image of this little boy or this little girl hanging black crepe on there to tell the bees maybe some form of sad news. Here's the written explanation and more folklore about bees. And this forms a little pocket here, also a tuck spot. And this is one of the oldest prints that I could find, a painting about telling the bees. You can see that the mother and daughter are dressed in their mourning attire, mourning such as mourning the passing of a loved one. And out in their field, they've come to tell the bees. But this is also romancing the bees, because not only did they get told about people passing, but they got told about births and deaths and new people to the family or somebody that went on a trip. So let's look at this little booklet. I'm going to go fast because there is so much here to show you, and I don't want this video to be so long and perhaps you would get tired and bored with it. So these are obvious little tuck spots with vintage ephemera, a beautiful little poem song that I salvaged and rescued out of an Ideals book. This little book here, or picture here, is called Romancing the Bees, and he's gathering a new beehive out of the apple tree. Just a couple pieces of ephemera. This one opens up, has a little poem in there, and those slip right back in there. Another piece of ephemera, and this is all done on a polymer dyed file folder. One of the oldest pictures of a beekeeper that I could find. And there's even a hole in his netting for his pipe, because he obviously didn't have an actual smoker. So the smoke from his pipe would have calmed the bees. So here we have our first signature, and this outside cover of the signature is wallpaper, and I lined it with coffee dyed. This is an enhanced paper clip, fabric pocket, and almost everything you see will be a tuck spot. I got this idea of making it look like a slideshow specimen or something like that from Jibineri. She has fabulous ideas. I've used that, again, many ways. Okay, now all you will see are mostly tuck spots or pockets. So I'm not going to belabor it and talk about each and every one. This is some botanical transfer paper done with glimmer type of inks. Got that idea also from Jibineri. Tuck spot. And then it just goes on and on. If you'll notice, almost every page has something on it, either fabric or paper tabs or both. These are obviously ideal pages. And this ideal page, I just folded it up because it makes a tuck spot there. And then this is an enhanced with a little ephemera belly band, along with a tuck spot to keep things from falling out. And this is my fabric and lace textile corner tucks, pockets, and things like that that I made. Made several sets of them in different colors. You can see those on my Etsy site. All I did was make the original, and then I print them off and fussy cut them around. It forms a beautiful tuck spot or pocket, whatever you want to use it for. There's another one, same thing. Repurposed greeting card, fabric tuck spot, print of an old handkerchief. Another one in the teal shades, tuck spot. A lot of these things that you will see are my own textile or watercolor or painting artwork, and that is what that is. So actually a fabric textile. Another belly band, print of a vintage handkerchief, and this is one of the homemade looking postcards that I did. Beautiful print representing summer of an old farm. And then here's a piece of ephemera. I used all kinds of things as the base background and then put lines on them. Now, aside from all the ephemera that you'll see in here already, I have a whole box full that will come with it, because this book is just so overloaded, and I say that cautiously because some people don't like that, but other people love it. It will be gigantic once you load it up with all the ephemera that I have sent you. But I wanted you to be able to decide what page it would go on. Handkerchief, another tuck spot, another enhanced paper clip. And a lot of this colored paper you will see is my polymer dyed paper. They match my series of polymer dyed laces and fabrics. Little stop for a tuck spot. There's a good view of one. Just darling little clusters. So nice. Now, let me just try for a second and see if I can As soon as I find my cursor, I'll get you down just a little closer. I didn't realize I did have a little extra room to play with. Okay, so this is all, again, we're in the first signature. Just lovely things. Acetate print put in there as a tuck spot, and another fabric pocket. And here we are at the back page of the first signature. This little paper clip is awfully cute because it has a picture of A.I. Root. Mr. Root was the owner of one of the largest beekeeping supply companies in the country, and he was in Medina, Ohio, which is not very far from me. This is the first of what I call a file folder. So this is a very sturdy, very large, completely covered file folder, and there actually is a hanging file folder inside between all these pages. So I used prints from Ideals books because they were big enough to cover the entire surface, and then just enhanced them with anything that I thought was cute. Now, in the middle of the file folders, there's pockets on both sides, very sturdy, all sewn in so that it can hold a lot of things and handle a lot of wear and tear. Okay, the beginning of the second signature, fabric covered, almost like an index card, put on there as a pocket. And then when you come in here, a fabric pocket there, and I just stuck a few things here and there so you can see how it would work. This is a beautiful little pocket made from an Ideals page, and as I've shown before, they're all lined on the inside, so they are nice and sturdy. You can use them for storage or whatever you want to do. Okay, this is the first of one of my eco prints. I got some beautiful prints. This happens to be redbud bush, and came out very nice. I was happy with it. Can't wait to do all that again. On this side, this was, okay, I know the name of that. I'll think of it in just a minute. Coral bells, a coral bell leaf. And these are some pages that I made copying different images through crumpled up wax paper. And that gives you kind of a faded image so it doesn't jump out at you, but it gives you a nice background if you want to mount photographs or something. Now, if you notice, here's a good example of two of my dyed papers. I don't know how your color is coming out. My light settings are as close as I can get them to true to color, but my sun keeps going in and out, and I have skylights in this room, so it might not look this way to you, but this is a very light chartreuse green, and this is a very light teal. And so even that little teacup is a tuck spot. Another one of those fabric things. Now in this signature I put something called, it's like a needlepoint canvas or a crewel canvas, and I put it in there as a page. I stained it up, and then I stitched these fabric textiles onto it. So here's one, and the textiles have pockets in the back, so there's a little goodie back there. I left some of it empty so that you can safety pin or stitch something on there to your liking. So more pages. Another belly band. This one is awfully cute, I believe. And then this is one of my compilation pages. I just made a master copy and then printed it off on coffee dyed paper. This side was a compilation of real vintage, like 1930-ish newspaper pieces, everything that I could salvage because it was so old it was crumbling. So what I could save, I put together and then just made copies. This was one of those fabric snippets done in the beige, in an all beige or cream tones. And then over here is a little tuck spot, as well as a little fabric tuck spot out here. A bird image on that fabric. a pocket out of craft paper, and the lace forms a pocket also. And on this side you have a pair of binoculars, because how can you go the whole summer without having a pair of binoculars or looking at the bees with your binoculars? Okay, little tuck spot. Another decorated paper clip right here, tuck spot. The other side of that pocket, here's the textile. I just laid it in here. You can stitch it onto the canvas if you want to, or you can just leave it and give it to somebody. It does have a pocket, so you could slip a little note or something in there, but it went so well with this page, I left it right here with this pink. And there's a tremendous amount of things in this book referring to bees, because after all, it is titled Romancing the Bees. But I don't think it's overdone. For as big a journal as it is, you could still put other things in it and really kind of change the influence of it if you wanted to. All right, here we go. Oh, I love this belly band. It just pops out on that yellow background, and it's so pretty. So how I did these belly bands is it has a backing of craft paper. I sewed the fabric snippets on it, and then I glued the paper ephemera on top of that. And here's another, the other half of that canvas with another textile. And you open it up, and it has a little arched pocket there. You can either take it out of there and actually give it as a gift, or leave it in here. I thought about gluing a honeybee right on here, but I'll leave that up to you, because I am going to send some honeybees and some pages of thought-provoking words so that you can cut them out and paste them wherever, glue them wherever you want. This is a tuck spot made out of paper, tuck spot. And here we have your bee smoker. This is a pretty modern looking bee smoker. Most of them are rusty, but people still use these to care for their bees. And so you have one of those, same as the binoculars, just free floating. Okay, here's another, the eco print, the other side of it. This was this image came out beautiful here, these leaves, because this is the blackberry brambles. That's what that was, and of course we already said coral bells on that side. This side had fern on it. You can barely see that, but it makes a nice background for mounting photos. Fabric pocket on that. Now we're to the next file folder, and I put a tuck spot pocket right on the front of it, as well as it has two big pockets inside. Another enhanced paper clip, and another tuck spot pocket, and these are actual fabric. Tuck spot. Now we're at the most interesting of what I think is the most interesting journal for signatures, and this is a flip out signature. So what you do is when you open it up, you can see there's a little button and a string here, and it opens, and there's pages in here as well as a miniature little file folder in the middle. Tuck spots. I'm not going through every detail, or we'll be here all day. And then this little pocket that's glued on here has a fabric tuck spot. I put a copy of one of my telegrams there, and then you flip that open. So let's close that back up. And then what you do is open this up. And when you open this, here starts another little miniature signature, more eco prints and paper with a file folder in the middle, and then that folds back this way. Then here's the main signature in the middle of the signature. So let's look at these pages. And some of these I glued down because I just felt like I had to show you how they would work. Beautiful little pocket with a print of a vintage embroidery there, and then a pocket behind it, so it forms two pockets. All right. tuck spot, and prints of vintage embroideries. All these are tuck spots that you see. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to view all this. It is a humongously big book. It's for the person who wants to archive things for a lifetime, really, or at least a big season in their life. Something you would keep forever, put all your special notes and recordings in, memory keeping, and pass it on to a family member. A little parchment bag embellished on the front, compilation page, see-through pocket made of tracing paper, tuck spot, handkerchief, print, tuck spot, and all these little things have stories of which you don't need to hear that whole thing right now. That's not important. But if you have any questions, leave me a message down below or contact me through Etsy. Okay, there is a tuck spot there, tuck spot, handkerchief, more textile art, tuck spot, enhanced pages with, these are what I call my homemade rub-ons, only I don't rub them on. I print things and stamp things on tissue paper and then tear them out and glue them on with a good glue stick. And when you do that, the tracing paper virtually disappears and it gives you the freedom to place your image anywhere you want. Okay, now we're at the back cover of that flip out signature. So this side is just enhanced a little bit right there. And when you open it up, here's another pocket, several pieces of ephemera in there, and then a few pages. Fold out. And then I left some of these blanks so that you could mount things in the ephemera that I'm sending with this journal. You can mount things wherever you want. Like this could house another pocket. This could have a pocket. Now here we are at the next file folder. Again, a picture from Ideal's book that I enhanced with different things. When you open it up, a beautiful summer scene here. I'm not sure how well this is going to come out for you color-wise. My sun keeps coming and going. Another enhanced paper clip and the back page of that file folder. Next, signature. We go along here. Doily print, tuck spots. You will see a few things in this book repeated, and that's because I know it's so big. By the time you leaf from front to back, nothing says you're going to remember you saw that some other place. Besides that, I printed them off in many different sizes. So, another belly band, just lovely little thing. More telling the bee images, tuck spot, Ideals page, tuck spot. Now the thought-provoking word page that I'm going to send with this journal can be cut and pasted over top of any of these little thought provokers if you want to change what they say or you want to add your own thoughts to it. Like this word says consider. So you could snip out something, another one that says encouragement, and put that right on top of it if you want to. That way you can make it your own. Another craft paper pocket, tuck spots, everything's self-explanatory almost from here on out. Now this is just a paper copy of some of the textiles that I made. So I glued it on here as a tuck spot. And go here, here, nothing new here. Everything is self-explanatory as you look at it. Like this tuck spot, or I'm sorry, belly band, and this tuck spot, obviously a vintage linen embroidery. I love that one because it was different. Vintage linen embroidery. I think that was a pillowcase. Tuck spot. These are my acetate prints. You'll be able to see them up closer if you choose to purchase the journal. This forms a tuck spot on here. Tuck spot. Tuck spot. Okay, and there we are to the next file folder. All right, this one was awfully cute. I loved it because it's obviously a garden scene, mother and child, and then I just embellished it down here on the front of it with some of my prints of the mushrooms that I made and some of this hand-dyed lace. So when you open this one up, it was so appropriate for the season, I pretty much left it. But these pockets are a double pocket. The lace forms a pocket and the gingham forms a pocket. And then over here is an enhanced paper clip. And then there you are at the last file folder. Now, this, the back of the cover forms one pocket, whereas in the front I had two. But this one forms a fabric pocket here, but it also, remember, it's this one also, where the hexes are, as they say. This was a special little booklet that I made. I told about it in another video, but it was originally a business brochure for a garden center. And all I did was enhance it. I loved the artwork, and I didn't want to cover up this beautiful font. Now, since this book is Romancing the Bees, I gave it the title Feed the Bees because they feed off of flowers. So there's the play on that thought. This is a print of the textile of one or other of the journal fronts before it was enhanced with the lace, and I thought it made a nice addition there. So I glued it on. And this is just an assortment of papers and prints for you to write on, and it's quite a nice little booklet. Then in the back, a tuck spot here, couple pieces of ephemera, and then when you open it up, let's see if I can get it in here. Yeah, a little flip, and then I left the original pack of, I believe this might be lavender seeds, and that's how the company gave away the brochure with the seeds there. Of course, they're no good anymore, but they're enclosed, and they make a nice addition to that little brochure. So there's your special little booklet for that. And then let's close this up. And I want to show you the assortment of ephemera that's going to come with this journal. Oh. All right, so here's what it looks like in the box. Quite a few pieces. And I'm just going to take it out by handfuls and show you what they are. So let's start with the three-dimensional items. And I made these for both of the very large journals and just thoroughly enjoyed doing it. This is a Tussie Mussy. I put a little tag on here referring to bees. Now, since I'm doing smaller things, let's get you down a little closer. Okay. And then a Tussie Mussy has a special meaning, which I printed out and gave you right here, and it explains what a Tussie Mussy is. But how this is constructed is, it's just a greeting card piece, and it slips right in there, and the explanation goes behind. A Tussie Mussy is typically in a cone shape, so I just made a fabric cone, a paper cone, and enhanced it with some fabric and things like that. So that's your Tussie Mussy. I'm putting two of my little purses in this journal, one in yellow and one in purple. And because it's a bee theme, I put bees on monofilament right here, and then almost like a stiff fishing line or what goes on wedding gowns. So there's two little purses, and the purses have a pocket in the back with a little paraphernalia in it. So those two little purses go with the journal. And then here we have two little shoes, little vintage shoes. This one has a hanging tag, matching butterfly, and then a thought-provoking word on the back of it. And then, again, a bee on a little bobble. You bob around for you. Okay, the second shoe, again, a bee, some pearls, fibers. You know how all that goes. And then these were the fun things. Two little aprons. And I put a daisy in this pocket with a honeybee on it. And the aprons can be used as a little tuck spot, or let's see, I'm taking the autofocus off. I hope this hasn't been jumping around the whole time I've been making this. So the apron, this one I don't have a flower for it. I'll leave that up to you. Again, a tuck spot, but also they are writing spots on the back. Okay, so much for the 3D items. And let's look at the little booklets that come with this journal. The first one is this little book made out of an oil painting. This is a Monet, and it explains the name of it, and I left it. Where did I leave it? Oh, it's right here under this lace pocket, the name of the painting. A greeting card that's appropriate because it has a beehive on it. And then an assortment of coffee dyed and polymer dyed papers. Quite a few pages in this. Now, the reason I'm sending so many booklets with this journal is because it is such a big journal, you wouldn't want to haul it around with you all the time. You might want to do your memory keeping in a smaller format and then put it in its proper place in the journal. So here's a whole stack of little handmade booklets just for that reason, and I'll just show them to you very quickly. So this one is Ivy. It has a few compilation pages in it, but mostly just coffee dyed paper fold outs, and there you have it. And this one, a little flip open folder. This is an enhanced paper clip, a piece of ephemera. Is the lady a tuck spot? No, she's not, but you can write all the way around her. And then this is a pocket and more writing space here. I made these quite a few out of Ideals pages. I just love them. I love the vintageness of them. Whoop, that lace got bent, that doily. And because it's Queen Anne's lace, I put lace on it, and then it's just an assortment of little papers. Again, front and back. And now how I made these, and I forgot to say this with the first one, is I would fold my page until I have a pocket formed on both the front and the back flap. Tuck spot, and then just lightly printed all kinds of papers. And you can write right over those things. Okay, this is a true little booklet. Keeper of the Bees. Coffee dyed, very sturdy, some colored papers in it. Tell the bees. I put this here because it's like, what would you tell the bees if you were the beekeeper? And here's the poem by John Greenleaf Whittier that he talks about how it went when you told the bees, or romancing the bees. Another one, I chose this image for the front because this is honey hand cream. And we have lots of wonderful products from Honey, so that's why I did that. This is a little tuck spot, compilation page, a bunch of little pieces for you to write on, all kinds of stuff. I'm not that much of a writer, so it would take me a month to fill just this little thing up. Nothing but a simple little tag stuck in the fold there. And then this one, this is one of my original art pieces images, but I put it here because it has a bee skep and a honeybee flying around. And so some of my polymer dyed paper, and I bet you won't be able to see it, but that paper has glimmer on it, picture of a vintage doily, and again, telling the bees poem. That way, if you want to give one away to somebody as a gift, you could do that and tell them what you would tell the bees. Wouldn't that be fun? Tell them what you think about them and how great they are, and that's what you would tell the bees if you had a chance. I love bittersweet. I don't know about the rest of you, but this was a beautiful image, and again, I formed a pocket, front and back flap, and filled it full of papers, and then formed a tiny little file folder image right here with marigolds. And then this poem was too cute, so I made a little pocket out of it, and it slips in there. Another booklet, peach colored dyed paper. Excuse me. Let me get a drink of water. I'm taking a little bit of medication, nothing serious, but they told me it might give me a dry cough. Boy, they underestimated that. The hollyhocks are beautiful. They're on the front and the back, or outside and inside both, and on the front you have this little file folder image made out of, again, Ideals pages, coffee dyed papers. Okay, so that's your booklets. Oh no, wait. Two more tiny ones. These are small enough to take in your purse with you. And then this one, 1897 Almanac, and then vintage wallpaper as the back, the little textile image here, and an assortment of papers. A lot of them flip out, so you can write on them. You have plenty of room. I hope whoever gets this journal is a writer. Now, there's no rhyme or reason to these. I'm just going to show them to you quick. This is all the ephemera that comes with this journal. And a lot of it to you crafters, this is self-explanatory, but in case it isn't, vintage book page pocket, decorated both sides. This is a pocket made out of an Ideals page, and I did make this. I thought it was pretty clever of me. But what I did was I made a bonnet, and of course it has lace on it, and I put a bee underneath the lace because the term is a bee in my bonnet, which means somebody's mad. I don't want you to be mad, but that's the old-fashioned saying. And that's a tuck spot. And then the pocket has 2 or 3 other pockets, and the tag in it has a pocket. No time to show it all. A tag with a pocket on both sides, and vintage ephemera copies, an enhanced seed packet, and not only is there a tuck spot here, but there's 2 pieces of ephemera inside, and it just goes on and on. These are double pockets made out of vintage or Ideals pages, and I'm leaving it up to you what to put in there. I'm going to send a few pieces of coffee dyed paper along with all this ephemera, so you could make something of your own and slip it in these pockets. This paper, as long as you're not using an Ideals book that's really old, this paper is extremely sturdy, especially once you fold it, sew it, glue it. I mean, it's just really, it would hold up no matter what you're doing with it. You can almost overstuff them. 2 little fabric pockets on both sides of this tag, and this is a pocket right there, and I have 2 or 3 of these which are parchment honeycomb pockets, and just something nice to slip a gift or a note in, or keep it for yourself. I showed a lot of these on my video about upcycling or rescuing greeting cards, but I'll show you this one again. That looks like a Marjolaine Bastien print, but it's not. It's some other artist, but beautiful beautiful work. So I made that, and I made this little booklet to slip into it. So the first thing is we have a fold out tucked in behind that ephemera, another tuck spot with a tag, and everything has more than one purpose, so you won't run out of fun things to do. A little piece of stuff right there as a tuck spot, and then a little booklet, and the booklet comes out, it slips in this holder right here, and you can take it out and take it with you. On the back, another tuck spot. So that entire thing fits in this greeting card. So let's get another handful here. Another pocket from an Ideals Pages. I'll just show you front, and you can almost assume that anything you see is a tuck spot. These were postcards. I don't know where I got them, but the images were so appropriate for this journal. Now, I've given you a whole stack here of my facsimile or my version of whimsical telegrams. And the reason I'm sending so many is because you could actually use these and write on the back of them. They have ledger paper lines on them, and you can include them in a greeting card. Just something a little fun and extra. If you don't want to give them away, you use them as journaling cards and then stick them wherever you want in your journal. And some of those are so cute, the sayings on them. So let me see if I can find the one pertaining to bees. Okay, this one right here. It says, the beehives are all full except one. Glad we left enough honey in them for the bees since the winter was so long. Bring your own jars for the spinning. And I showed that to someone. They said, what's spinning? I said, well, you obviously don't know a lot about bees, but you spin the honey out of the comb. That's the best way to do it. That way you leave the comb for them. I'm sending along 2 or 3 extra textiles. This one is very sweet, light colored summery, and it has a little pocket and also this little tab if you want to hang it up or safety pin it to something. So there's that one. There's this one with the rose theme. And again, there is a pocket in the back for you to slip a tag or whatever you want. Here's a larger one. Vintage embroidery doily. Whoop, let's get it right side up. And then a red pole and an egg. Just a beautiful little fabric thing. And this pocket is quite large on the back here. Let me find the top of it right there. It's a print of a vintage, I think I got that from Graphics Fairy, I don't know how long ago. But just a sweet little thing. I'm also sending you this little bag. And this little bag, of course, is actually a bag. And then it's a drawstring. So if you want to keep something special in it, you can. Or you can use it as a holder for giving something away. All right, the next stack here. All right, these are little acetate print, little fold-out writing spot. I won't be able to show the nitty-gritty of everything. I just won't. This has a little pocket on the back. It's just collage work. Another collage work on a parchment bag. I did this because this Mexican sunflowers, I just love them, and the colors were great, and they are, I doubt that they would grow, but it's a brand new pack. Here's one of those parchment paper envelopes with the honeycomb embossed in it with a few little pieces of ephemera in there. And then these little journaling cards I made with images of old envelopes or old ledger pages, whatever I had at hand. This was actually a ledger page from one of my customers. She gave me an old ledger of hers where she kept track of absolutely every penny spent on the farm. So there's those. Simple tags, room to write on the back. Some more film strips. I just love this film strip effect. It's just so cute. Writing spot. Another telegram. Prints of handkerchiefs to write on. This was interesting. I wanted to make sure it had its proper place. The Spirit of Nature, and it's a prose by John Ruskin. So that's for your journal, since it basically is nature. I collaged these on top of copies of an old letter written on the back of a greeting card. It was just so sweet. And again, ledger paper on the back for you to write on. Another parchment envelope, summer collage. Recycled greeting card. I love D. Morgan artwork. And then that has a tag in it. And on the back is an envelope that opens up. And there's a pocket there with some ephemera in there. So, good stuff everywhere you look. And that's the whole idea. You want a surprise. Every time you go to your journal, you want to feel good about it. And it helps you makes you want to write in it when it's fun. Book page pocket. More collage work on the old envelopes. These two are awfully cute. Both bee themed. For instance, both of these are my textiles. This is what some of the beehives looked like before I started enhancing and embroidering them. And then this is a little brooch. It was an original embroidery, and I drew the honeybee on there. And then these simple tags to write on. I love this collage work, I think, more than anything, because if it's done right, it takes your mind somewhere, gives you depth and different things to think about. And I love birds. I heard somebody say, enough with the birds, and I'm thinking, not with me. I just love them. I love mushrooms too, as you can tell. Another enhanced seed packet, and I won't go into this, but it has tags in it, and the tags all have stuff in them, pockets and such. You know what that is. You know what that is. Oh, an envelope that I made out of a print of a vintage handkerchief. I didn't put anything in it. That's up to you. But the handkerchief print was so vivid and so pretty. Floating pocket done on craft paper with 2 or 3 pieces of ephemera stuck in there. Again, book page. A full-size print of a vintage linen. Something big enough to write the full account on. More collage work. Library card tag. Not the typical kind. This was in the days of, what did they call this paper that ran through the printer with the holes in it? But anyways, it was a way of categorizing the books, and I had a friend that sent me that. I love that thing. This is almost like a glassine print. It's very thin. You can see through it, and I can't show you today because a storm has moved in here and cut all my light off. But when you hold it up to the light, you can see the music notes through the image. Little glassine, not glassine, acetate print. Now, I will tell you about this one because this is Romancing the Bees. This was AI Root, again, AI Root Company, and this is an original copy of one of their old inventory receipts. I think it says, I don't have the right glasses on, 1883 or something like that. And so I printed the honeybee on the acetate and then just overlaid it. I got this idea and a couple others from Shabby Dabby Doodah on YouTube, if you want to look her up. Just little writing things, writing. This image was sent to me by the same friend that sent me the library card. It is an image of French beekeepers, almost like at a convention, looking at the new style of beehives and bee skeps available to them. Writing paper. Okay, this is a photograph folder where you would send your film to the drugstore and then they would send it off, get it printed, and you would get your photographs back in this. So I reproduced this outside and inside and then glued it back together to form a photo packet. And in it I put some photos that I sort of addressed as if they were old. This is the AI Root Company in Medina, Ohio, and this is a picture of inside the factory of the workers. I thought that was very appropriate. So that slips back in there. And then we have, again, this idea of framing these off almost. I sort of improvised from what I saw Jibid Neri do. This was called the Bee Woman. Her entire costume is covered with gigantic fabric bees. And these are just interesting bee-related photographs. Look at that, a wagon, and it says honey and honeycomb, beekeeper, and then a beekeeper. So these actual little photographic things I slipped in here so you could get the idea what to do with them. So a parchment envelope with the image trapped inside with a honeybee, and you can put other ephemera in there, fold it up, and tie it up with a string, and that gives you really nice little packet. This was a enhanced envelope, very large. It's embossed. It has my tracing paper images on it, and just all kinds of fun things. Just so interesting. I took it apart and completely lined the inside with patterned paper tissue, and it is so sturdy, but it has such a nice look of its own. You could use that as a gift envelope for someone and tie it up with a ribbon, and just a beautiful thing. Simple book page pocket, and here's another honeycomb pocket. And here's a specimen. Let's put this against a white background. You can really see it if the glare don't get you. I printed the honeybee extra large right on the acetate. And more of these film strip, or shall we say negative strips. That's probably truer to what they really are, negative strips. And then with vintage images put on there. Just love that effect. Boy, it gets some attention when somebody looks through your journal. Okay, some more cards. I love these. I have 3 beautiful vintage images with bicycles. And since that was such an activity during the summer, back in the day, I wanted to include them. I had collected pictures of older women, old pictures of women for a long time because I'm a hairdresser, and their hair just blows my mind. So I had to put her on there. And this little collage card has pieces of ephemera stuck in there. You know, we use the word ephemera loosely, don't we? Ephemera means old, but I don't know, collage items or whatever you want. This little card opens up. It's also a pocket back here and writing spot on the back. More of the bicycle image, an image of my tuck spots and things. I just folded it up like an envelope. Another image. some more of these collaged images. And that's probably a tuck spot. Yes, it is. Writing surface, writing surface, writing surface, writing surface. I'll just show you to prove it. Okay. Writing surface, writing surface, writing, 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 writing. These all open up so that you have writing space inside. And then this one, a little booklet with two little tuck spot flaps, or I folded the flaps over and made little tuck spots for any little notes you'd want to slip in there. So that should have been in a stack of booklets, but I don't know how it got lost. Some of my hand-dyed paper, because the colors went with it. Some more of those library cards that my friend sent me from Kansas. And let's see, one more small handful. A floating pocket. These are all craft paper, but the pockets themselves are fabric and lace with ephemera stuck in there. And just floating card. Book page pocket, book page pocket. File folder pocket. I called these my laser print pockets. I had quite a few, but I collaged on the fronts of them, make them a little really interesting. I just love the way they turned out. Those stark images, the black just really pops. A fold out. I'm not going to unfold everything. Of course I have not, but that way if somebody doesn't know what they are, it's obvious there. I made a whole series of these. I talked about them in another video. They all have different birds on them. In actuality, they're quite large, and all I did was photocopy them, shrink them down to what size I wanted, and printed them off. Here's one of my acetate prints again. On this time, I printed the bees on the background, and then I printed the flowers on the acetate. This is one of my original watercolors. I don't claim to be a painter, but just enough to give me some artistic things to work with. All right, that's the last card. Can you believe it? I'm going to pull this little book back in here while I just say for a minute that, again, this is a tome. Look up the meaning of that word if you want to. It's a big book, an unusual book, maybe one of a kind book, but in this case it's like for a family archive book, and it's used to hold whatever you want. You can designate it for nature study, or in this case for memory keeping, for family heirloom type things. So I'll show you the front of the journal one more time and see if I can back you out here to see it. Romancing the Bees. Now, I'm not bragging, but my girlfriend told me you should say that your videos and even the Etsy pictures don't do this fabric work justice. It does have such a tactile feel to it. It's very lush, but yet it's not overdone. It's not a lot of foo-foo. You know, I love the foo-foo. I love the fluff. I love shabby chic. I love it all, but that wouldn't have gone for this style. And I intended this book to be handled for a long time and to get a lot of wear and tear. So everything is securely on here. It's supported inside the front and back flap with mount board. Mount board is much different than cardboard or even mat board. And so it's built to stay. It's a double spine, a hidden spine. So there's 2 layers of mount board in the spine because I knew it needed to support over time a lot of weight. And then again, it comes with the homemade twine. And if you've never made any homemade twine, I would encourage you to give it a try. There's plenty of YouTube videos on it. But I used all colors and all kinds of different fabric, and there's some tricks and techniques to it. Tricks and techniques. But it's easy. It's easy, and boy, you have something so earthy and so tactile, and you can use it for many different things. And I thought it went appropriate with this, how should I say, sturdy, fabricy journal. All right, so that is plenty long that even when your book gets bulged out and wide open, you have plenty of length to tie it up. Now there's 3 strands of twine here, and all I did was put them together with one knot. And you could, it's not tight, you can untie it, and you could use one strand if you want, and use the other 2 strands for something else. It's up to you. Well, this will be up on my Etsy site probably within a day or so. You can look for it there. Like I said, the first one that I intended to do a second video on sold so fast. But this one will be up on Etsy in a day or two with some detailed pictures. If you need to see or know anything else about it, please let me know. Oh, and by the way, it is almost, let's see, 9 by, it's almost 12, like 11 and a half, counting the soft edges. And then, in case I didn't mention it, I put some cheesecloth peeking out, and as it's handled and worn and gets old looking, it'll look even all the better. Just adds a little bit of naturalness to that journal. All right, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. And again, romancing the bees. Now come back and see one of my other videos as soon as you can. And thank you, all you YouTubers who share everything you know, and I hope that somebody else can glean something from the things that I've made too. A jump off point, an idea. Keep creating and come back and see me again soon. Thank you.